as we speak about acing Gsoc and contributing to open source. Today, we have with us Aniket Pal, a final year student of NIT Rourkela from the Department of Electrical Engineering, who got accepted at IHR under the Gsoc program. He is currently interning as SWA at Barclays. He is also a GitHub campus expert and an MLH fellow. I would like to introduce Sumana Basu, a final year student from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering who got accepted as a mentee of Open Food Facts under GSOC. She is currently an SG intern at SAP Labs. She has also been an MLH fellow and a technical program associate at MLH. Today, we are here to get an insight into their success story from their own words. Welcome all.
Thanks a lot, Jyoti, and thanks everyone for joining us. I don't know how much we will be able to talk about, like whatever you want to know, but we'll try our best to resolve each and every query which you have as of now, and hope this goes great.
Thank you, Bhaiya. So, Aniket Bhaiya, how would you explain open source contribution in layman terms, as most of the people here have little or no knowledge about open source?
Okay, so firstly, open source is something like where you can access or see the source code. So that's only read only mode if you think out. But when you talk about open source contributions, it is like we can also contribute according to our choices. Like suppose we are using one particular software and we want to edit that. For example, let's assume like Google Meet is an open source software. Now I don't like the view I am seeing. Like you are in one corner, Sumana is in another, and I am in the left and down corner, right? I want whenever people are speaking, they are in the grid, which is for 75% of the screen, and other end in the 25%. So if this has been an open source platform or open source software, we could have just added the feature, right? So that's how open source contribution is. So anyone, if you like a feature, you create a issue, and now the maintenance of the project will just say like, okay, so if I want the issue, they will assign you, and then you can start contributing to it. And if they don't assign it to you, so yeah, that's not the thing then.
Sumanadi, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so basically it is open source, like everything is out in the open for you to see. Whatever the code is, who is working on what the issues are, how people are making contributions to it, how people are writing the code, everything is visible to you. So in whichever place, in whichever organization, in whichever project you like, you can go and contribute anything you want to. So it has a lot of freedom and a lot of learnings as well. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a great answer. So, Aniket Bhaiya, can you tell us like about how you started your journey with open source, about your first contribution maybe?
Okay, so my first contribution was via Hacktoberfest. So yeah, I'm also wearing the T-shirt of that also. So Hacktoberfest started. It was just a program, which was like powered by DigitalOcean and Intel in the total. And in the phase like that was the first time when I came to know about what open source actually is. So like I started, it was basically we needed to go our four peers to get merged, and ultimately we would be getting one T-shirt and stickers with that. So I was in my second year and I was very excited of getting t-shirts and all those things because I never got actually. So my main focus was on getting t-shirts, and so it was like, okay, so let's get the four pairs merged. And that's how it started. I really liked like when my four pairs got merged and I started getting into it. So because initially my only focus was on getting four pairs merged, but after a certain point of time I just started realizing, it's way more than that. You can actually add features or resolve bugs which can contribute to the world and solving more problems which actually are problems, not some minor documentation things which I was solving at that point of time. So yeah, that's how I started. So yeah, over to you, Sumana.
For me, yes, it started a very similar way in Hacktoberfest. I did my 4 PRs, but after that, it wasn't that I got really inspired to do more things. I wasn't like that because I was really scared of contributing to open source. So for me, I did those 4 PRs, but after that, I was really scared like what I should contribute next, what should I do, where should I go and write that I want to do this. And, I had a lot of things in my mind and I was very shy about talking to the mentors and all. So my open source journey started really late and it actually started with open food facts only, like officially started. And Open Food Facts is my organization where I'm contributing in GSOC. And so there I just randomly thought of, just trying out some organizations to see how it works. So I just put up a message that, I want to contribute, but I don't know how. So then there were some mentors who came forward and helped me out that you can start here, you can then do this. And then they also gave me a list of issues that I could start with, which will be easier for me. So I went ahead with them. They gave me their full support. And then of course I had my friends to push me. So that is how I got into open source.
So it's like most people are pretty afraid of contributing, but like as you go ahead and contributing, you will like it. Means you will become good at it.
Yes, absolutely.
So Aniket bhaiya, can you please clarify what GSOC is? Because like as many people hear the name Google Summer of Code, they think that it is an internship program of Google or something like that. Could you please clarify?
Okay, so to be very honest, like initially it took me a very long time in understanding what Gsoc is. Even the time I got selected, I was trying to explain my parents, what it is exactly. And finally I was like, okay, just tell everyone it is an internship by Google, which is not exactly Google. So it was that. But okay, so if talking seriously on it, like what Gsoc exactly is basically organizations approach to Google. So suppose you are running an open source organization and you want specified contributors. So what Gsoc makes is you get some specific contributors for your project. Because as of now, say you want to contribute to ISR in my organization, you are free to do that, right? But you are not bound to do, or like it's like obvious. I am also not bound to do, but I given a commitment to them that I will do it. So organization needs some committed contributors, so they reach out to Google. Like now, organization as big as Mozilla, Python, and even VLC Media Player, everyone approaches. Even if you think of Chromium, approaches to Google, and now they request for slots. Basically, they give their projects and they ask for funding for each students. Like because the money we are getting, we're directly getting from Google. So now when we are getting money and we have a project assigned, so that's how the thing starts actually. So now the projects are listed, and once the Google has like sorted with everything, now it's you're now good to go, and now the organization releases, and then as the contributors we can see the country like the projects and the corresponding organizations which are actually shortlisted. So that's I guess my open G-Shock. I have how would I have been explaining to that, but I guess Sumana could add something more to that. And yeah,
Yeah, Sumana, would you like to add something?
I wouldn't like to add anything, but I'll just summarize what it is. So, in simple words, if we say, like, it is, of course, not exactly this. Don't go and say anywhere that this is the definition. But if I talk in simple words, there are some organization who need some people to work for them. And there are some people who actually want to work in those organizations. And Google is the middleman who kind of brings them all together. So, that is how it works.
Well, now as we are clear that what GSOC is, so what are basically the perks of getting selected in GSOC? Because if students know the perks, then only they will get motivated to go for it.
yes, Sumana, go for it.
Oh, okay. So first of all, the main thing that is there is that you get to contribute to a huge organization. You get to see your code in production. People having, like there are organizations which have like millions of users per day, and your feature is also there. So you can actually help out so many people. And apart from that, of course, it is a big tag because of which usually people do it. It's that the Google name is there, and it is a very prestigious opportunity. So if you have done Google Summer of Code, it adds a very big thing to your resume. So a lot of credibility is there behind it because the process is also not that easy. So you have to write proposals and compete with so many people to get into it. So of course it is very credible. And apart from that, you just get to meet a lot of people. You finally you can get into open source, and open source has an amazing community because people there are doing it for free and they're doing it not for any particular benefit. So you get to meet people like that sort. So usually people in open source are really good at heart, so you can do a lot of networking there as well. And yeah, that's all I think. Aniket, if you would like to add something to that.
Okay, for me, G-Shock was a bit different than what Sumana said. Like, uh, firstly, like I was getting someone who is mentoring me, because initially, as similar to Sumana, I was also pretty scared in contributing because when you see such a huge code base and you have literally no clue on where you should start reading the code. So the first thought as a beginner, we think like we should understand the total code base. But to be very honest, that is so wrong, because you can never understand years of work by just reading for 3 or 4 or 1 week or something like that. So it was simply you get mentors, and we work on particular segments of the big software which we are trying to develop, and we get constant mentoring. Suppose every week I have 2 meetings with our like admins and one specific to with the mentor. In that we discuss everything, my like wherever I am stuck, we talk on that, and whatever he wants me to do, I start on that. Like it's basically a constant source of working with that. Apart from that, you when you work on something as big as projects which got selected by Google, you can think like that. You get to learn not only on how you should code, or you should like what code you are doing, you should also understand like what the world is looking for you to build the next. So like I am working with people who will be changing the world in some time, because the projects which are selected in Google are of course like those are great, right? Like they're actually solving problems of people. And apart from that, as Sumana said, it of course adds a lot in our resume. And yeah, networking is very important, and which we get a great opportunity. Not only we are networking with the organization admins or the maintainers, I'm also get the opportunity to onboard new contributors who want to work further. So even the contributors I meet, I also learn from them. So it's a constant learning process from me, from the contributors, and from the organization admins. Then likewise it goes around. So that's the shock for me, and there's a perks I see in that.
Well, that quite some perks. So now all must be excited to take part in Gsoc. So what's the timeline of Gsoc and how to and what's the procedure to apply for it?
Okay, so I can talk on the how to we should apply for it. So initially for me the process was pretty simple, because uh, I had a similar program before that was GitHub extension. So in that the same procedure is followed. So it was basically simply you when the organizations are released. So most probably it was 7th of March, maybe I don't remember exactly. So organizations were released. Now it was like I wanted to surf around the organizations which were listed. Now I was seeing all those organizations like which I was interested for. So I have seen like it was not I was not looking for the tech stacks. Simply I was just looking for like things as in what the organization is trying to build in the next 5 years. It's not like I was saying what they have built or what all cool things they are using, as in cool things as tech stacks I'm saying, or those similar things. I was just like I have seen what all they're trying to build, and if that aligns with my interest, I would be choosing going forward with that. So even for both Gshock and GitHub extension, I have chosen only one particular organization, because people generally tell you to choose two or three. But I don't think if you do that, that will be, like that will be easier for you, because you get to contribute, or if you even if you don't get selected, you learn a lot in that organization. But at the same time, if you start working for two organizations, you will be a bit diverted in the thing like, okay, so which organization should I exactly contribute and focus at that point of time? So that how I started. So basically, first go select an organization in which you want to contribute. Secondly, create some issues or pull requests or resolve some issues. And thirdly, get in touch with the maintainer or the mentor of the corresponding projects, and then the process is pretty smooth for you. And after that, when you have done some contribution, you get in contact with the mentor, you write a proposal, and after which you submit that, and then this Google and your organization admins both sit and they select whom they should select further for the timeline period. So that's for me. And if Sumira wants to talk about the timeline or something more, she's free to do that.
Yeah, so this is like what Aniket said right now is how you apply and get selected for JSOC. After that, we have like a community bonding period. So where you just get to know the project more and you get to know your mentors and the entire community that that particular organization has. So you have a lot of meetings with them. And after that, they have two coding periods usually. Sometimes it is extended for large size projects, but usually for medium size projects, it is there are two coding periods where like in the middle you have like after the first coding period you have a set of evaluations where they check if you're actually making progress and you have done all the things you mentioned in the proposal. And then the second coding period happens, and then there's also a final evaluation where you present sort of a report of what all you have done, and according to that you kind of like graduate and become a GSOC 20. So this is how the process looks like. And talking about the thing that Aniket mentioned, that he chose only one organization. So usually you can give your proposal for up to three organizations, and or you can also give, like, for one organization only you can give three proposals. So basically the criteria is that maximum three proposals you can give. But what I did was that I also, of course, at the end, towards the end, I was just contributing to one. But initially I found like two three which aligned with my interest, and like the projects I saw, I liked them and I wanted to contribute to them. So I went into their communities, I started asking like how I can start and everything. But the community I joined with Open Food Facts, I really enjoyed that, and I met really amazing people there. So then I decided that okay, and like while I was contributing also, I felt more comfortable here. So that is why I left the other two organizations and went completely into this one. It is of course not wrong to keep contributing to three organizations, but it will be tough for you because writing a proposal is difficult. So if you have to divide your attention and time to three organizations, it'll be harder for you because you have to research about every one of them, know their code base, know what their aim is throughout this proposal, throughout this Gsoc. So that is why it is difficult. But of course, if you can do it, you're welcome to contribute to three different organizations.
Okay, so now I guess everyone is like quite informed about the procedure. But like one major thing is, be it GSOC or any other open source activity, like many people are like too afraid to contribute to open source. They think that they need to know a lot, like then only after they will start contributing. So like what are the prerequisites that one should know to start contributing to open source? And like what path should a beginner follow so that he does not get stuck or demotivated?
Honestly, I feel there are no prerequisites. It is better if you know at least one language, one programming language. Of course, it's not necessary, but if you know, it's good. So, what you can do is like, there are websites called like Good First Issues. If you just search on Google, you'll get a lot of websites like that. So, you can just go in one of them and you can put whatever tech stack you have. So, suppose if you know JavaScript, so you can just write JavaScript there, and it will find you all the good first issues that you should contribute to of multiple organizations. So that way you can look at the simplest issues that the organizations want you to solve. So if you go at the simplest one, you'll be able to solve it faster and you'll gain some confidence before actually contributing to big things. And one thing I would suggest is that, as I think Aniket already mentioned, that never look at the full code base. If you're contributing to one single issue, one small issue, just look at that part of the code base. You don't have to know everything else. When I started contributing to Open Food Facts, their main thing is actually based on machine learning, but I still don't know machine learning at all. So it is completely fine because in the process also you will learn. It is just easier if you know one particular language so that you can go through that, because in the starting you need some confidence to get into it. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. Go to Good First Issues and just start with one of them. It can be as simple as like a documentation fix or anything.
Aniket Bhai, you'd like to add something?
Okay, so simply as like Sumana said, mentioned, like okay, apart from those, what I personally believe you can do it in two actual ways. So firstly, contribution are not meant to be always code contributions, right? So suppose you are a content writer, you can modify the way the documentation is written, or you can fix some documentation error or something similar to that. If suppose you are into DevOps, then you can also fix some pipelines and all. So okay, leaving all those apart, if you actually want to work, and contribute code, what I personally believe is work on DSA. Make like at least learn the basic data structures which you require. Okay, I'm not telling you to learn how to solve graphs problem which has a DP in that, like all those. I'm not saying solving those complex problems, but simple problems you should be well with it. Like you should not be like you cannot solve a DB like DSA simple problems and you are just trying to make a significant contribution. So simple problems, DSA problems, which creates your base. Learn that, use any of the language like C++ or Java, like personally that what I believe. And once you have a good hold or a decent hold in that, then shift to organization and start talking with the maintainer of that. See, like programs like Gsocs are different, but in general, if you're thinking of contributing to open source, there is no actual timeline you need to think of. You are like free to contribute anytime, anyway, and however you want to. So just talk with the maintainer and just discuss with the project, because suppose as a beginner, if you want to contribute, the projects they're trying to build is not something very easy to understand, right, at the very first go. So talk with the maintainer and just show that you are interested to work further. So after that, like he or she will arrange a meet with you, and then you can learn more about the project, and then you can start contributing, and according to that learn the tech stacks which they require you to work on. So that's how what I believe you should go forward.
Okay, so like now I have learned some basic tech stacks and I like go into GSOC, but I see there like there are literally hundreds of organizations and there are each organization has also like many sub projects. So the main question is like how to find the organization that suit me, or I can modify like how did you find your organization and why did you choose it?
So I want to talk on that. Actually, getting the organization was the toughest thing for me. Like even way more than contributing to that and proposal for that, because I was liking a lot of organizations, uh, but selecting one of all those was very tough, because there were, at least I remember, like almost like 10% or 20% of the organization was something which I really want to work on. But in my freshman year, I was too much interested in cybersecurity, and I'm still am. Okay, because of, you can say, the all those sign like sci-fi movies which I've seen during that time. Like you are just hacking everything around you, getting money, you're getting fame. People are like, okay, you're so cool, sort of. So all I was interested in that. But actually, was not able to move further because of a lot of restrictions which I faced. Like because I feel if you are really good in cybersecurity, there are particular concepts you should be very well good of, and one of those which I believe is networking, like computer networks. So IHR works totally on advanced computer networks. So I was really interested in learning from the mentors or maintainers about computer networks. So that's the reason I have chosen IHR, because at the first go I've seen they're working with computer networks, and I was like, okay, no, like this is for me. I will be working further for this. But initially, it was not that easy for me to get selected or select the organization. But yeah, that's how it is. So it is very time taking, to be very honest, and it is very tough because you review every organization what they're working, and you try to understand everything. Because I guess that only took me around 1 week to decide on which organization I should contribute actually. So yeah, rest Sumana, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course it is a really long process. And like I remember Aniket, when he started looking for organizations, he first made a list of like all the organization he might be interested. Then he did a second round of that, then a third round, and he kept shortlisting the organizations and then reached at the conclusion. So of course it is very time taking. One benefit that Google Summer of Code website gives is that they have like a search option where you can search according to what you want to work on, like if it's web or Android or ML based or anything, you can just search there and organizations can get filtered according to it. So that is something you can use. But apart from that, of course, there's no shortcut. If you by chance get like the first one you select and the first one is really nice for you, it's great. But otherwise it is a long process. And like what I did was just searched, because my tech stack was based on web. So I searched web, and then after that I went through all the organizations which I like, sort of like, because like when you see the organizations, you get the logo, the name, and a tagline. So from the tagline only you can think a bit like, if you want to go for it or not. And the one I sort of like, then I went and checked their project ideas and what all they want to do, and according to that I was shortlisting that which one I want to go for. And open food facts I felt was really interesting, because mostly organizations were like very code based, like, there's the organization is Python, then we have Chromium, and all the tech related stuff. But this was a very like food related thing, and that is pretty nice. So yeah, that is why I kind of like their theme and idea, because it's sort of like, you can say, a non-profit like NGO sort of thing, for like a food database. So I really like their idea and what they wanted to achieve with that, and their project ideas also kind of aligned with mine. So that is why I selected. But there's no shortcut as such. You have to put a lot of time into it, and then also you might end up selecting an organization you don't like. So it's just a tedious process.
Okay, so like now I have selected my organization. Then what's the process after selecting? Like how will I start then?
Um, The first thing you can do is just like every organization has some sort of IRC channel. So that is, it can be Slack, Discord, or anything. So the link is usually given in the Google Summer of Code website itself. Join the organization, just put like an intro message that, hi, I'm this person and I want to contribute. Like, can someone help me out? So just this much. It's not a big thing to do. So if you just send that message, someone or the other will most probably reply you and tell you, okay, if this is your tech stack, you can go to this channel and you can ask there, or maybe they can say, okay, this is an issue, you can try it out. This kind of thing can happen. Or if you don't want to go this way, there's another option that you can just directly go to their GitHub and see whichever there is, like whichever project you want to contribute to. Open that, go to their issues. If you like something, just write, okay, I want to work on this, please assign it to me. And then they'll assign it to you and you can start working. But I personally prefer the way, going to the Slack and just first talking, because they can give you the right guidance. Like when I said that, I'm a web developer and I want to contribute, so they told me that, okay, this is our project for web development, and here are the two good first issues that we think you will be able to contribute to, so you can start with this. So it was very clear for me that they wanted me to do this issue. So I just directly went to that and I said, okay, please assign it to me. So yeah, that's how it works. Aniket, you could add.
Okay, so for me, I chose the second option, like so as Sumana said, because I believe, okay, so you can write the message out there, but as the maintainers and mentors are working for free, so it's not very necessary like they will, just care like, okay, so you are doing this, so I should answer you back, right? So I believed if I made some code contribution, I can get some of their attention. Okay, so this guy is not only just talking, he's also working beforehand. So I just went there, I solved some issues, and there is like I got some of the peers merged. And after that, I just started telling them, okay, so I'm interested in applying for Gsoc. So should I, or what should it be exactly? Then he said, okay, so you may also think of contributing. Then he gave me a private Slack link, because initially IHR did not have a public IRC channel. It was only via mail. I need to get in touch with the mentor. So after that, I mailed Roman. Like it was around, I guess, 1500 words or 2000 word email, which I have written everything, what I felt about the organization, who I am, and what I felt about talking to him. And I mentioned everything, like what I planned. Like it was a mini timeline or a mini proposal which I've already given him in the mail. And he, at the very same point of time, he invited me in the Slack channel, and he also invited me as his GitHub member, like as in organization member in the GitHub. So it was a very good thing for me. I just loved the way he interacted with me, and still I love the way he interacts. So that's how it started for me. So first is like choose organization, then code something like resolve some issues or get your some of your peers merged, and then start talking with a mentor. Like that's something I believe. And as Sumana also mentioned previously, how you choose an issue, you choose that via the good first issue tag or the sim tag. Suppose you are good at JavaScript, so you can just choose JS tags, and then you can shortlist issues according to your need. So that's how I believe you should proceed further.
So now can you tell like in exactly what part did you contribute or what was your contribution about? Like in simple language if you can explain.
So my contribution, if in simple language, I need to say it was some simple GitHub automation, some deployment of automations, uh, some visualizations according to the datasets, some web scraping to get their endpoints, and uh, some getting legends of the graphs which are already existing, and apart from that some sort of research in computer networks. So if you say that was my work in total. And yeah, apart from those, like the major thing which I guess made me different from others was I was onboarding new contributors while the Gsoc period was on, before the Gsoc period, as is mentioned. Sumana.
Yeah. So for me, like before GSOC, I did contribute to a lot of different things. Like I added some features, and I had, changed some, like fixed some bugs, did some styling PRs. So like changing the style of something, or fixing a bug, these kind of things. So mine were not very very technical, or like they weren't creating like a very big difference, but they of course helped some parts, like they helped in the UI UX, or like when I was fixing bugs. So it fixed bugs, and people using the website didn't get that anymore. So I merged like around 5 or 6 PRs before that, before the GSOC period ended. And right now the project I'm working on is continued based on adding more and more features. Like I had proposed a lot of new features that I would like to add to their project. So it is that, and like improving the things that they already have. So this is kind of my project.
Yeah, so like while contributing, we should not see like how small or how big it is. We just should start from small contribution, then we should proceed towards other things, right?
Yes, of course. It's easier to contribute to small. Of course, you can take up large, but the issue is that if you're creating a large feature or something like that, it will have to be reviewed multiple times, and that can take a longer time. So if you're just starting, you'll need that confidence of you have merged 2 PRs now, so that'll sound very cool to you. So for that, always I prefer starting with shorter and smaller things, which I can fix in a day or so, so that I get some confidence, because as the number of PRs that keep getting merged into the organization, you become more and more confident about it. So that's why smaller PRs are preferred.
Yeah, so like as Aniket bhai, you mentioned that at first like you wrote a mail to Romain sir. Like in general, what are like some of the best practices to like connect to our mentor or your fellow mates while contributing?
So, like generally, if the organization has a public IRC channel, it's simply you go there and talk with people. But if it is not there, then just like mail the person, and then he or she will just let you know on. He will bring you to a common platform in which you can just talk with each other, right? So that is something what I did. And initially, as I mentioned before as well, like first contribute something, after that approach him and just tell that I want to contribute more, I have some more ideas which I want to discuss further, because you should have a reason to join the IRC, right? So just tell him the reason for that, and after that just start talking to him about anything you want to, because because the time I joined, I become free with him, and if it was just like I can talk with him about anything. So I went on a trip, I have sent him some photos, like just like, okay, so I'm on trip, I'm enjoying, how are you, sort of things. So it went smoothly for me. So I guess that is the thing it should, and how it should go around.
Yeah, so Manoj, so how you communicate with your mentors and other fellow mates?
Yeah, so as I said, like I started with just writing an intro message on Slack, but I would say that there is no one correct way to go for this path. And like you can talk to your mentor any way you want, there is no best practice for that. And it is just one other human being you're talking to. So it's not a big deal, also. But I would say that don't just keep talking, show them that you can do the work as well, because at the end of the day the mentors should see that you can actually code or contribute at least, or you're interested to do that, because at the end of the day they are selecting who they want for GSOC, right? So they should be able to trust you. Like even if you write in proposal that you'll do this and that, a lot of big things, but if they see that you're not contributing, or if you're not taking much interest, they will feel that you just wrote it for fun, but you're not actually willing to do all the work. So make sure, along with talking and communicating with the community, you also work on it.
Yeah. So like the most important thing is like submitting our proposal. So like any tips like how we should make our proposal so that we have a better chance of selecting or like that.
So I guess a good proposal is anything. If you so it is like, if you read my proposal as of now, even if you don't know anything about IHR, I am sure you can build whatever I have written there, because it is more like a technical blog which I have written. Like I've mentioned all the technical, like features which I want to implement, and below that I have written codes on how I'm planning to implement all those things. So it was just a technical go through. If anyone just wants to work on that, you can work it. So I guess a good proposal should show that you have a good planning with like on when you want to add what feature, which comes with your timeline submission. After that, you write about what all features you are planning to give. That shows like how much interested or how much you understand the project in the depth, or it at its core. And after that, you write the code for each and every implementation. Like it's not like you write the total code, you just write some code snippets or the main functions. You can think like that, and yeah, that is how it starts, and that's how a good proposal is. So it's like a technical block which covers everything.
So Manoj, you would like to say something on this?
Yeah, so first of all, like in proposal, GSOC proposal specifically, there's a lot of debate about if it should be a small proposal or a large proposal, how many pages it should be. But honestly, it doesn't matter. It matters, like the only thing that matters is the content in it. So there are three things that are very important in a proposal. The first thing is what all you will be adding. The second thing is the timeline, like when you'll be doing what, like dividing by maybe the coding periods or just by month wise, anything. And the third thing and the most important thing is how you will be adding all the features that you said you will be adding. So that is very important because it shows how much understanding you have of the code base, and like if you are being realistic or not. Okay, so you can just, in the proposal you can even write that, I'll take you to Mars or something like that. But of course that is not possible, right? So you also have to be realistic in it, and you have to show that you'll be putting maximum effort to complete all the features. So when you're writing like how you will be completing all the features you said you will, in that you should mention like what exactly your approach will be. If you're using some API or something, you can mention the API endpoint there, or you can create some flow charts and show that what exactly you want to do. And if it's based on like some styling sort of thing, then you can maybe make a like image sort of a mock-up or a wireframe sort of thing. So it is like how well you explain that. Of course it can be done in a shorter length also, but then also make sure that you cover everything else, like you cover everything. And if someone reads your proposal, they are able to understand like what exactly you want to do. It is very clear and complete. Yeah.
So basically, you need to explain your mentor like what all changes you will be adding and how you will be working in your proposal, right?
Right, absolutely.
So like, how was your overall experience with GSOC, and what benefits you think you have got by participating in it and being selected?
First thing, I think technically I have grown a lot. Like I've learned a lot of new things, a lot of new languages and tech stacks, and I've learned how to contribute well, like in the sense like how to write good code, how to write a code that is understandable by others as well, because there'll be so many people contributing to the same project and people from all across the world. So like for example, my mentor is from France. So they how they code over there, how we code over here, it's very different. So knowing how to write good code that can be understood by everyone, how to send good PRs, what exactly to mention there, what to, how exactly to contribute well, that is the most important thing as well. And apart from that, I think meeting a lot of new people, how to network with people, how to ask for help. As I said, I was very scared and shy in the beginning, so that fear has kind of gone now. So I now enjoy contributing to open source. I can do it like not out of some commitment or bound, but I can do it anyways. So that is one thing that really helped me throughout the process. Yeah.
Okay,
Aniket
and
Bhaiya, you would like to say?
for me, it's like I guess it is just started for us. Like it's both for me and Sumana. We just started, and actually the coding period starts tomorrow. Before that, it was just a selection process and all those things. Uh, I learned more about. To be very honest, like my mindset got changed a bit because initially I was not into open source because of I had some thinking, but it changed with when I started meeting people, and I've seen like when people are actually giving their work which they have done for years and keeping that open, like the things, my mentality, and like after meeting people, it has actually changed. And moreover, as of now, suppose I told you like I'm working at Barclays, so over here I have the team which is India and US only. Like I'm working with the US team, so it is Indians and US people. So we have a mid time common midpoint. But in IHR, it is people who are from Japan, who are from US, who are from Greece. Like it's basically you can think of people from the entire world are there. So the getting the time, where we all can meet is pretty tough because it's like evening for me, it's morning for them. Like we're getting it right. So getting everyone all around the world in a particular time because I'm the only Indian contributor selected in IHR. So that is also how it is different for me. It's a very new experience working with multicultural group and people who are not from the same origin, who has different thinking about anything or everything what we're doing for the day by day. So that's how it's very different for me. It's a very unique experience. I don't know how it will go past for next 4 or 5 months, but yeah, it has been great so far.
Yeah, I wish like it goes pretty well for you both. So like yeah, that's pretty much is. Now like we have questions in the chat box from so like one question is that which language did you choose for contributing, and like is the language that very much important or not?
So okay. So my major contribution was in JavaScript only, because that was something I was like sort of like uh, I had a good hold in JavaScript sort of. So it was comfortable for me contributing in that. And apart from that, the other things I wrote in YAML files only, the corresponding automation and workflows. And yeah, those are the two things which I majorly wrote. And it is not language dependent, like, because in the backend you can write with some other languages also. So yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to add, of course, as I said, like having one comfortable language is better. But yeah, you don't need to know any particular language for open source. And like mine was also majorly on JavaScript, it was on Vue.js, and the backend was on Python. And of course, I didn't know much about it. But as you go through the process, you keep learning about it. Even the mentors provide you some resources, and so it is not really a bound or something like that you need to know this particular language to succeed. So it can be any language you want to choose, preferably the one you're comfortable with, and then you can just keep learning throughout the process.
Okay. Now a quite similar question like is web dev a good way for open source contribution or Android dev, or what do you have to say on this?
Okay, so there are organizations for literally everything. There's organization for C++, Android, web dev, machine learning, and all sorts of languages you'll find. So all for I think almost everything you'll find an organization. So there's no one good way to go for it. Of course, it is just what organization you like, what project you like, based on that. And yeah, there are a lot of projects for both web dev and Android dev. So they are very common. So if you go either way, it's completely fine.
Yeah. Now we have one other question like is competitive programming useful in GSOC? We have a question. Aniket Bhaiya, if you'd like to answer.
Okay. So if you think about competitive programming, like, getting stars or your ratings, actually doesn't matter in the selection process of if your proposal is getting selected or not on the basis of that. I'm not sure on that. Okay, so I have never been on the admin side of the organization selecting people, because what I believe, if you're getting selected in GShock, it is more on the proposal which you have written and your consistency in total. So those are the two major things which I believe. So I don't think the CP will be useful while or getting selected. But yes, when you're contributing as a contributor, when you're coding, so CP will any day be a beneficial tool for you. Because if you are a competitive programmer, I'm pretty sure the way you will be writing code is, you know how to write code which is optimized. You know you can code quickly, you can resolve problems quickly. So if you're a competitive programmer, coding anything will be easier. That's the reason people are into competitive programming, right? So in the process, it will be helpful undoubtedly, but I don't think so. It will be helpful in the selection process.
Yeah, okay. Now we have one more question. It is not actually about GSOC. It's for Sumana. How you got internship at SAP Labs? Like if you wish to answer.
Okay, so SAP Labs came to our campus for internship opportunities. So, like many other companies, like Barclays also. And then we had first we had to fill a form where we submitted our resume, our CGPA, and everything. Then we got shortlisted for an online test round, which was based on coding. After getting shortlisted from that, we had two interviews for technical. So two technical interviews we had in the same day, and then we had a HR interview at the end. So there were total 3 rounds of interviews, and then we got the result.
So like if anyone has any doubt, they can put in the chat box or can unmute and speak.
So, Manadi, is it like only computer science students can get coding internships like in SAP Labs, or the other ones like electronics can also are eligible for that?
So when talking about on-campus internships, they usually, like all companies have a criteria. It can be open to all branches as well, but mostly like computer, like SAP Lab sort of internships are usually for computer science, electrical, electronics, and just the main branches. But there are many companies that come for all branches, and if you're not in the circuital branches, you can just apply off campus, and mostly off campus is allowed for all branches. So that is another way to go.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions. So yeah, with this we have reached the end of this interesting yet informative session. Yeah. Now one question like how to find organization. I guess they've already told it on the GSOC website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just to like summarize once, you can just go to the GSOC website when they announce the organizations, and then according to what you want to contribute to, if it's web or MLAI, you can just search that and the organizations get filtered out. Then you can go and see all the organizations manually, see their summary that is given by GSOC, and start shortlisting whichever organizations you like. And then if you want to go into more depth, check out their project ideas, what they do, how they code, and then you can finally select your organization.
Yeah. So any more questions? You can speak if you want. Yeah, please ask your question about GSOC only. We'll have sessions on other things later.
On YouTube, I see a question that there's do CV matter here also.
Yeah.
Aniket, do you want to answer that?
I don't know, like CV matters. Maybe it matters because it shows the how much you are interested in, shows your technical profile and your extracurricular activities. So, but I don't think so. It matters a lot because it is very open. Like suppose because people say like I'm in IIT and I'm in Tier 3 college, so we cannot have a opportunity which we will be seen equal. But programs like GShock, you will be seen equal. So I don't think CV in that way matters. Your college or your branch matters. So ultimately, it's the like contributions which you have made and how you have behaved with your mentors, your maintainers, and fellow contributors, and your proposal. Those three things are important. And if you are good with all those three, you will be getting selected. So simply, so CV
Yeah,
does
you
not
don't
matter.
actually have to submit your CV anywhere.
Yeah,
It is just like in the proposal, you can add like these are the things you've done, these are the projects you've made. So that kind of gives you an edge if like it is based on the same tech stack. So they know that you can actually code in that particular tech stack. But otherwise, yeah, I think same. It doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah. Thank you, Aniket and Sumanadi, for taking out time
thank
and
you.
guiding us. And you'd
Definitely.
like to say something at the end?
How much level in any program is required? Okay, no, actually there is no such level you need to know. It's just like the know the basics. Suppose you know arrays, linked list, all those things, simple things, and yeah, that's all. And after that, you start learning according to the need. So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
thanks guys for inviting us. We had
yeah,
a great time.
yeah,
And if you guys have any questions further, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn.
yeah.
That's all.
Okay.